What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Double D Report. It's me and Dean back this week talking about the NCAA championship game, the Final Four, MLB, hockey. It's an all-sport podcast today. It's going to be fun. A little short on the shorter end, but it's going to be fun. We have a lot to talk about. First of all, and the first main thing we got to talk about is the Final Four. The 1 seed versus the 1 seed versus the 1 seed versus the 1 seed. Dean? Any thoughts on those games?
Look, I have been pretty garbage, to say the least, all tournament. I think almost every single one of my predictions from the round of 64 to the Final Four were off. That being said, I can honestly say that the Final Four maybe saved this tournament just by how good those games were, especially the final. So I do want to give those four teams, all 4 1 seeds, a lot of props for, giving it their all because they were the best in the nation at the end of the day. It was definitely entertaining to watch a lot of the game. All 3 of the games were good. I'm counting the Final Four and the final. Congratulations to Florida, obviously, but yeah, it was a very entertaining Final Four.
Yeah. Probably the most intriguing game to me in the Final Four is probably the Duke game. Is because with 30 seconds left, Duke was leading. And we've known this entire, tournament, Duke has dominated. We haven't seen them in, a tight game yet.
Yeah. No, this one, I think in almost every way, Duke should have won this game. They had a 93% chance of winning with a minute left. Just consistently, obviously turnovers at the end hurt them, and then Cooper Flagg missing one of the shots in the paint at the end. So that was really rough. But then also you got to give props to the other side in Houston. They buckled down their defense. They hit a couple of clutch threes within a minute to go. And really, I think this is more or less on Duke losing rather than Houston winning. I don't want to take anything away from Houston because they really did play a very good second half, more particularly a really good, last 2-3 minutes to be able to come back into this game. But Duke really had an opportunity to put it away multiple times in the last 5 minutes of the game. They were up 13, I believe, in the last 5 minutes, which you just can't lose that game, especially when you're in the Final Four. I think it was just more or less a case of Duke shitting the bed rather than Houston winning that game.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do want to say is because obviously I was tuning into the game because I did have Duke to win. I did, in fact, have them to go against Florida, even though I had it Auburn originally, but I changed to Florida, and Florida made it. But one thing I want to say is I do think Duke was a little cheated on that over the back foul in the end of the game, but obviously it's a call. They weren't going to be perfect all tournament, but that one call, when I saw that, I was like, "This, come on, that's not an over the back foul." He barely even reached around him.
Yeah, look, it's debatable, and we can't, as much as we want to always blame it on some stupid shit. In the end, there was multiple times, but regardless of that, where Duke could have put this game away, where that wouldn't have even been a topic of discussion.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, sure, maybe that was a ticky-tack foul, and maybe that's not a foul you call at that point in the game, at that, moment of time. But at the same time, like I mentioned, Duke up 12, 13 points with 2 minutes to go. They should have put that game away. There should be no way in hell Houston is within 5, let alone 3 or 2 points in the last 20 seconds. So I look at that ref call as a non-issue just because the momentum shifted at that point. You had your opportunity to put the Cougars away and you didn't.
And don't get me wrong, I was very shocked by the Cougars because you and me actually both shitted on them. That Houston, out of the 4 teams, out of the 4 number 1 teams, they were the worst team.
So I did think Houston was not there. I also said I didn't like Auburn, to be completely fair. So I had those 2 at my bottom for sure, 100%. But yeah, Houston played a good game. I mean, their coach has been around for so long where he really, coached a hell of a game, especially late. With specific play calls, specific, timeouts, etc., stuff like that, what a coach should do. So I do want to give Houston props. Auburn, to me, was the fraudulent team that they were, even though Florida was losing at the half. But still, Florida was losing at the half in almost every single one of their games before the round of 64.
So Florida, one thing I'll give to Florida, even though it's a little jump cutting to the championship game, it's like overall, I didn't know this. Their coach is 39 years old. That is one. I'm pretty sure he's the second youngest coach.
Second youngest coach in NCAA tournament history to be playing in the final, and then obviously he did go on to win.
Which is insane, obviously being 39 years old and winning a championship. Well, no shots to this guy. Against a guy who's 30 years older than him, who's been in the game for a way longer period of time than he has, which is it's impressive to say. And it's good for all Florida people who go to Florida, like Florida fans, is that they have a young coach who just brought him to a national championship. And I believe this is his second year or his first year?
I believe this was his second year.
Which is very impressive, and it's only good signs for them down the road.
Yeah, I mean, going into that championship game too, this is another crazy game where I thought, just watching it, Houston outplayed them in almost every capacity that I watched, right? They held Florida's two best players in Condon to only 12 points and Clayton to only 11 points. I mean, that is insane. If you draw that up in the Houston locker room and you hold both of those players to a combined less than 25 points, you have to imagine you're winning that game 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Which is just astonishing to see. And the fact that Houston made a huge comeback against Duke, choked it away against Florida, it's just kind of full circle. And we'll get into it in a second, but the last play of the game had me in a fit watching it. But I did want to say Houston played really well throughout that entire game. I thought their defense was astronomically better than Florida, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure Houston had I'm trying to find the exact stats. They had 5 steals, but the Gators had 13 turnovers, which is unbelievable. And that's just another reason why you would think Houston won this game, where Houston really failed this game, being number 1 in the nation before this in 3-point percentage at almost 40%. I believe it's 39.5. They only shot 24% from 3 this game. So that definitely hurt them there. But I'm going to be honest, this is another game. This was another final that I thought Houston, they choked it away. They should have won.
Yeah, that honestly, because, obviously in the first, 12 minutes of the game, what I saw was Florida couldn't do anything. They couldn't shoot. They couldn't. To be honest, I was questioning I forgot. I think it might have been Clayton, who I think he just walked up the court and just chucked the 3.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't get me wrong, he's a great shooter, and I have nothing against him I'm considering him the best player on that team, taking a crazy shot in a big game. I'm not any sly against him for that. But just seeing the shot selection they were taking and seeing how bad they were doing, as a whole in the first half, and for them to bounce back with their 2 best players scoring over 25 points is just impressive. Honestly, it just shows how good all around Florida was.
Yeah, look, Florida, between the two teams, talent-wise, Florida was definitely better. Just on paper. If you watched the game, though, which I'm sure a lot of people did, including Derek and myself, Houston was the better team, and they should have won this game hands down, no questions asked. I think it was a missed opportunity by them in the second half where they got outscored in the very beginning of the half, 22-9, and that was their biggest opportunity because they were up by 12 at one point. So they had a lot of opportunity to put, once again, like Duke in the previous round against Houston, I feel like Houston had a lot of opportunities to put Florida away, and they just didn't capitalize on what they needed to do.
Yeah. And what we saw throughout the whole tournament is Houston, they're a scrappy team. No one thought that they would they stepped their foot off the gas.
Yeah, it was a shame just because both teams really didn't shoot well. Both teams shot under 40% from just field goal percentage to begin with, and both teams also shot under 25% from 3. So it was a very defensive-minded game and a big game where, I think nerves kind of sat in on both sides where both teams were just not shooting the ball well. And then the one point that I wanted to make was Just an absolutely disgraceful end of the game by Houston. 15 seconds to go. Following a timeout, you have to get a shot off. You have to get a shot. I don't care if it's a one-handed shot and you're throwing it backwards. Something has to be thrown at the net. You can't not get a shot off with 15 seconds to go, starting in your own court, starting on their half court line. It just can't be done. Horrible execution, and the Houston's coach at the end of the game looked like he was just dead inside because of the execution.
I just don't understand. Like, if I'm on Houston, right, and I'm expecting to be in the biggest game of my life, why not take, even if it's a crazy shot, take a shot to give yourself a chance to win the game?
Well, based on how they were set up, and it's pretty obvious, they were not going for the tie.
No.
They were going to shoot a 3.
Yes.
Which, maybe it's the old school in me, but I also think that was a horrible call, right? Agreed. You take it to the rack. There's a good chance you're going to get fouled because 2 players are just going to jump all over you. And even if you don't get fouled and you get it somewhere near the rim, there's going to be opportunity for offensive rebounds, which, by the way, Houston was dominating all game 15-8 on the offensive glass.
Yes.
So there was so many more statistics and opportunities to go to the rim on that, to go tie the game and take it into overtime, rather than just, dancing on the perimeter with a couple of ball screens and trying to get open for a 3. It made no sense. It just from a game plan perspective, I feel like it was the wrong call in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Well, my opinion, I wouldn't put this on the coach, because I feel like he executed the right play. It's just, yeah, because if you really think about it, you could execute the right play, but at the end of the day, it's up to the player if they want to take the shot. Correct?
Of course. I'm not going to blame the coach for his players not taking a shot. That's just moron.
Yeah.
Right? Look to the fucking hoop and shoot it up.
Yeah.
However, I just disagree with the whole game plan call. I get wanting to play hero ball, and you don't want to take it to overtime because Florida's playing a little bit better in the last 2 minutes. But at the same time, it's the national championship, man, and you're shooting 24% from 3 on the game. Take it to the hole. All of the reasons that I explained, offensive rebound wise, your best players can drive to the rim. Florida had 2 big men on the court who may have fouled you. There were so many opportunities to take it to the rack to try to tie this game and to bring it to overtime. I just thought the play call was not good. And then on top of that, the player execution was maybe the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And for a national championship game, it did suck to see, because not seeing like a final shot, you're expecting, a final shot. Instead, they pretty much just held the ball for 15 seconds.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to mock the whole game based on that one point, because it was a good final, right? Florida coming back from 12 points down to make it a game late. Florida taking the lead late. By the way, this is another crazy stat. Florida only led in the game for over a minute, like a minute and 5 seconds.
Which is crazy.
So just another statistic that Houston dominated this game and really should have had the opportunity to close it out. But you got to give all the props to Florida at this one, staying with it, not putting your head down in a championship game, really battling hard. And then on the last possession, look, you can mock the players all you want in Houston. Florida did play good perimeter defense. So a lot of props to Florida for pulling it out and winning their first championship since, is it 2007?
I believe so, yeah. I think it's 2007 or 2006.
Yeah.
It's one of those times. But yeah, congratulations to Florida. Obviously, young coach. Very young team. Some players are going into the draft, but that team is going to be good for the next coming years. We're going to be seeing a lot of Florida. I think, from what I see in this tournament, if most players do stay, I don't see them disappearing.
Well, I think some of the players are going to leave just because they're going to go into the draft, like maybe Condon, maybe Clayton. So that's 2 of your massive players that will be gone. I think they're just going to be good more or less in the coming years because how good their coach is and how young their coach is. I don't see him leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, and also it's also good that you have a national championship underneath your belt, is because now all the recruits are going to be saying, oh, you just won a national championship, young coach. Bam, bam, bam.
Well, beyond that, the SEC now just got a lot of money to play with because
Oh
of
yeah.
all deals in this tournament. So there's not going to be any problems whatsoever on recruiting players.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. One thing I will say, well, this is like going reverting back to Duke and one specific player, Cooper Flag. Obviously, from what we've seen, obviously in a big game, he did. I wouldn't say he didn't shine well, because he did play a good game. But in the close, you need him to close out the game, he didn't close out. Do you think that some NBA recruits, I'm going to consider scouts, are seeing, oh, he doesn't have that clutch gene in him in these
No,
games? You don't think so?
no. I look. Sure, the last minute of the game, right? He missed a couple of shots. Uh, he still scored 27 points. He went 3 for 4 from three, 8 from 8 from the line, which is extremely impressive for a college player. 7 rebounds, 4 assists. What is this? 40% shooting from the field in general, right? So just because he didn't, everybody in the world, including Houston, knew Duke was going to him in the last minute of the game, right? All they did was double team him. It's not his fault that nobody else on his team really showed up in this game. He was the X factor in this game. Without him, I mean, scoring 27 out of your 67 points, without him, this game isn't even close. So no, I don't think this is going to affect his draft stock at all. I still think he's going to be number 1 overall and number 2 overall, whichever NBA team who gets first and second feels is best for him. So I do not think this will affect him at all, and I still think he had a really good game.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying like he didn't have a good game, but like obviously in the NBA, some coaches or some scouts might see championship game, clutch moment, couldn't make the shot. That's just I wanted to like see if you had a different like perspective as like some like it's fine. It's fine.
I don't see it as an issue. I think his game is going to translate extremely well to the NBA. I don't think the team that draft him is going to have too big of an issue with him. He's going to be an awesome shooting forward or power forward wherever
I
he
don't know what the
translates.
fuck he's playing.
So I think he's going to be more than fine. I mean, he averaged 19, 7, and 4. Like that's an awesome season. Not to mention shooting 48% from the field. So I see this as a non-issue. He still had a good game. It's hard to put it all on the kid. Then when Duke blew a 12-point lead, that's not his fault solely. So I don't like I don't like the whole stigma around it. He's gonna be fine.
All right. Yeah. I just want to get your closing opinion on Duke. And lastly, do you have anything you want to say about the tournament? Anything we missed?
Nothing in particular. I mentioned it earlier. I think the Final Four did save this tournament. I thought before then, and I expressed that a little bit earlier. It was, I don't want to say boring, but definitely less eventful.
It was boring.
It was less eventful than previous tournaments just because of, it was mainly chalk. There was not a lot of upsets in this tournament. Obviously, having four number 1 seeds in the Final Four is not an ideal for a viewer's perspective. However, it did translate to good basketball. So I do want to give the 4 teams props. They were clearly the best in the tournament, and they played their ass off. It showed. It showed because it was a very good final 3 games.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Is that these last 4 games, these last games, the Final Four and the championship, were very good. All the games were actually like close nail biters. You didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah.
So, congrats, NCAA. You did it again. You saved it. And hopefully next year, Duke could actually not choke. Like as they did the past 10 years.
Every year is different, right? I mean, Duke is going to look a lot different. Florida is going to look a lot different. Even Houston's going to look like all of these teams are going to have players going pro. So we'll see how it goes next year. We got a whole lot of time before that. A whole lot of recruiting for the best in the nation, all that shit, NBA draft. A lot of stuff to go before that.
Oh, yeah. So, we're going to do a new thing now. So, obviously, this does conclude the NCAA. But, Dean, I'm going to put it up to you. What sport would you like to get into for our new...
I'm sorry. I have to get a little by. I want to talk NHL real briefly.
Okay.
Something. We're gonna me and Derek are gonna get into the NHL and the NBA next week pretty heavily, right? Because we're down to the final 5 games of the regular season in both sports. So playoff seeding is gonna come to a conclusion. Playoff matchups are going to come to a conclusion, so I'm very much looking forward to it. However, something that we may not see again in our lifetimes happened this past week where Alexander Ovechkin broke the goals record in the NHL, which is absolutely astonishing. I want to give him all the props in the world. He is one of, if not the best player I've ever seen in my lifetime. He's probably top two. Him and Crosby, I would say, 1 and 2. So to see him break the record, and not only break the record, but break the record in the exact same amount of games as Wayne Gretzky did it, is astonishing, right? We spoke about this in an earlier podcast. Wayne Gretzky is the greatest player of all time. I'm not going to go throughout the point stats because it's just astronomically better.
It's unfair.
Right? Yeah, it is unfair. It really is. However, to have a goal scorer of Alexander Ovechkin's prowess, I mean, he was astonishing throughout his career, right? He's had a 20-year career, same amount of games as Gretzky got 894, Ovechkin got 895. While Gretzky is in the stands, the whole game was paused, and not to mention, Ovechkin scored on the power play, which is his bread and butter. But the whole game paused. Players from both sides shook his hand. There was a huge celebration, a huge ceremony. It was well deserved, and it's something that we may never see again.
No.
Right? There's some good players in the NHL. There are some really good players, right? Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. But to think almost 900 goals, and keep in mind, Ovechkin is not done, right? He's not only got another 5 games left this year, we don't know if he's going to retire or not.
Yeah.
So hypothetically speaking, he comes back for another 1 to 2 years. He could easily get 30 more goals each year. So he's just adding on now to a new record, which is even crazier to think of. So I just wanted to give a lot of props to Ovechkin. It's something that I'll cherish forever because it's not a lot of times you get to see records like that broken in sports.
Yeah. And this is also another thing that is also very cool to see is that was his first goal against Ilya. That was his first ever goal against him. And I was like, that's crazy.
It is crazy. And there's a lot of podcasts out there that I listen to, a lot of NHL podcasts that they were talking about it, right? It's almost like they gave the jinx to Sorokin because that was the talking point going into the game that Sorokin had never given up a goal against Ovechkin, despite playing him like 10 times. So
in the same division. In the same
division, right? So it's their matchups are quite often, and it was just Ovechkin's been on a tear lately. 2 in the previous game, and then 1 to finish it off this game. Just unbelievable, really is.
He wanted it.
And he deserved it too because not only is he, by the way, with missing 17 games this year with a broken leg, has over 40 goals. and his team is number 1 in the NHL.
That, you want to know what's so crazy is just hearing that motherfucker had a broken leg earlier this year. That is insane to come back from a broken leg and to now break the
and play record on the level that he has been.
It's insane. It's actually insane.
He's playing like he's 25 years old. It's really unbelievable to watch. I hate it because as a fan of a team in the same division, I mean, this guy, it just seems to, Father Time doesn't even want to touch him. So I'm thinking, when the hell is Ovechkin going to go away? But at the same time, you do appreciate watching greatness because you don't know when you're going to be able to see it again.
Yeah. And this is, I think it's another little quick stat, is I believe Ovechkin's the only player with that, obviously, X amount of goals and 1,000 hits. I think it is.
So he is... Don't quote me on the exact number. He's something like 20 hits away now from being the all-time hits leader in NHL.
Goat.
So not only is he going to be the all-time goal scorer leader, he's going to be the all-time hits leader.
That's insane.
Which is insane. Insane. That means he plays both sides of the puck. That means he plays on the penalty kill power play. Everything you could think of, and he's an angry motherfucker. You do not want to see him coming at you full steam.
That's scary. Very, very scary. Just go, bam!
It is. It's just wild. It's exciting to see. We now have a new goal scorer in the NHL, a Russian, to begin with, which was maybe not possible back then, but now there's so many good Russian players as well. So it's nice to see the NHL turning a new leaf, turning a new chapter. It's exciting. It's exciting, man. I'm curious to see who, if anyone, is going to be breaking this record next.
I have one person. Well, I have two people in my head. But I want to say this last thing about Ovechkin is one thing I really do appreciate is obviously he could have broken one game earlier in the closing seconds of the last game, but he chose not to break it on an open net, which I appreciate.
There was a lot of debate on whether he would do something like that, and I think if it was a close game, a playoff clinching game, a number one seed clinching game, he would have. But his team is almost locked up the one seed. His team really doesn't have much to play for the last 4 games. So, yes, I agree. It was nice to see him, go for it with a legitimate goaltender, legitimate power play opportunity. It was nice to see.
And obviously the rookie on the team got that goal, his first career goal, which congratulations to him.
This is true.
So, but two players I have in my mind who I think could break it is one is Austin Matthews, which is a lot of people's. It's the reason why I'm saying it's because he was on pace to get close to Gretzky's, I believe it was, if he plays a certain amount of years. And then I want to say McKinnon, but I don't want to say him because he gets more assists now than goals. But I feel like that if he had, this might be crazy to say because he's very skilled to where if he wants to score a fucking goal, he can score a goal, but he's very good at passing.
I think there's two that we're watching currently that have a chance. Austin Matthews are 100% right. Right, this guy scores 50 goals a year. That's record-breaking type stuff, right? You continue that pace, you're going to break records. That's just how it works. The second one that I think is Leon Draisaitl, just because he is a pure goal scorer, and not to mention, he has probably the best overall player on the planet on his same team, feeding him the puck in Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see. I was looking up a couple of stats here. Austin Matthews, if he continues, I believe it's a 45 or 50 goal pace. He would be on record to break the record in around 2035, which he's a young enough kid where he would be able to play another 9 years, 10 years. However, there's a couple of factors going into that. One, he'd have to score 45, 50 goals per year, right?
That's crazy.
It's crazy. That when you put the record into that sort of perspective, it's wild to think about. 2, which is probably the biggest one, Ovechkin's not done yet. So, sure, he could retire at the end of this year, right? If the Washington Capitals win the Stanley Cup, I could see a world where he hangs it up. However, we've seen it. He's got so much more left in the tank. So, I'm going to be very curious to see what he chooses to do in the coming years. And to be fair, I really do think this playoff run has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. But I think you're 100% right. If the Capitals do win the Stanley Cup, I don't see him sticking around another year, in my opinion.
It's possible. See, these guys are so competitive, and especially with their conditioning, especially Ovechkin, it's tough to say when they're going to hang it up. He has a lot of Jaromir Jagr in him where they just don't want to stop playing. I mean, Jagr's almost 60 years old in the Russian league, and he's still playing for his own team. So these guys, they just have this ability. They have the skill set to just keep going. It's going to be just a matter of when he wants to do it. If he wants to, settle down, enjoy his family time. I mean, this is a guy who's made over, I believe it's $161 million throughout his career. So he doesn't have to worry about money. He doesn't have to worry about, fame or fortune. Who knows? Maybe he stays in the States. Maybe he goes back to Russia. That's the thing. I think it really is just up to him and what he wants to do.
Yeah. And it's so funny because when you look at Ovechkin, physically, that motherfucker looks ancient. But then when you see him on the ice, he looks 25. It just doesn't make sense.
Gray hair, the gray beard. It's badass if you ask me.
Yeah, he looks like a fucking Yeti. But overall, I think me and Dean have to say is congratulations, Ovechkin, for breaking this record who no one thought would be broken.
Yep.
As in one record which Gretzky will never be touched. It's the points. I don't think that record's ever going to be touched. In my opinion, his all-time points record, like
Gretzky
never.
Not in this lifetime.
No.
I mean, we went through it. This guy was scoring over 200 points in multiple seasons. That's just that's not even honestly. And this is coming from a guy who's watching McDavid play. It's not even possible anymore.
It isn't.
I mean, to think that even happened, it sounds fictional.
Isn't I believe the guy who's in behind him is like 1,200 behind him. It's a lot. The margin between the two is insane.
So Wayne Gretzky has 2,857 points all time.
Yes.
Right? 1,900 assists, Derek.
Insane.
Nobody's ever touching it. Second is Jaromir Jagr at 1,900 points. So almost 1,000 less points than Wayne Gretzky.
That's fucking insane.
It is insane. It really is, because it's just unfathomable to think of. This guy is just he was an absolute marvel. And not to mention it, which is why I give Ovechkin a lot of props for passing the goals record in the same amount of games as Gretzky. Gretzky played 1,487 games. Jagr, 900 points below him, played 300 more games. Gretzky's points record will never be touched. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those records in sports that is just never going to be broken.
Agreed. I've only known, I like purely only know, because there's so many videos about like records that will not be broken, and that's one of them.
Yep.
Well, I think that does conclude our little segment about Ovechkin.
Great.
But we gotta move on to a sport that me and Dean have been loving. It's a sport that I have kind of on my chest right now. It's the baseball. The best time of year right now. Baseball just started. Dean, I want you to give you a little quick overview about pretty much it's the first week of baseball.
Yeah, we've gotten through a couple of weeks now. Most teams have played anywhere from like 11 to 12 games so far. So good to see, obviously, baseball being back. We've talked about this in excess, that it's always nice because you realize spring and summer are right around the corner. Some games have been weird, to be fair. The most recent games, it's been snowing in Colorado, some of those Rocky games. It's below 30 degrees in Detroit for some of those games, particularly the last couple against the Yankees. So the weather hasn't quite cooperated yet. I don't think the weather got the memo that it's spring.
No.
But on the same time, these players are playing through it very hard. Some teams that really have caught my eye to begin with. One, the Texas Rangers.
You're right.
It's the truth, man. I spoke about this in great detail, that this is a team that, for some reason, sports books and analysts slept on, which made no sense to me. And they're coming out of the gate playing like the team that I thought they would, right? So they've been playing really good ball, really good pitching by specifically one guy, the kid Jack Leiter. So I want to give him his flowers. Really good. Yep, 2-0, under a 2 ERA so far. You know, I don't want to jinx him, but he's been pitching really well, which was always going to be a major factor for that team. And then one other, not team, but division that's just been an absolute bloodbath so far is the NL West.
I love it. I fucking said this, Dean. I literally said this.
It is awesome to see. I think it's going to calm down a little bit and start going to the mean. However, San Diego 9-2 to start. The Dodgers 9-4 to start. The San Francisco Giants 8-2 to start. And the team that most people thought were going to be the second best in the division, the Arizona Diamondbacks, only 5-6 to start. Right? So it has been an absolute bloodbath, that division. And it's good to see, right? Because I think MLB fans are desperately asking for a team to give the Dodgers a run for their money. Desperately. So it'll be curious to see if the Padres or the Giants or the Diamondbacks can keep up.
Honestly, this is one thing I have to say. It was the nicest thing in the world to see the Dodgers lose to the Nationals. That made my day. That made my fucking day. Seeing that. No shade against the Nationals. They're a young team. They will be good eventually. but they're going against a fucking powerhouse, and to see them win that game, thank you, God.
Yeah, I actually wanted to mention, and I wanted to give a little quick, go fuck yourself to the MLB here. The MLB gargles
Shohei Ohtani?
Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers cock so hard they can't even breathe. Right? I know the game you're talking about against the Nationals, where Ohtani hit a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning, take the lead, and the MLB posted it on their Twitter handle in all caps, Shohei's the man. And then the Washington Nationals admin, he must have had some spare time on his hand. He was tweeting back at the MLB, "Hey MLB, how about you post Dylan Cruz single? Hey MLB, how about you post who won the game?" It's just hilarious to see because I think everybody's pissed off at it. Like, calm down. We get it. Shohei's really fucking good. But you can post other teams and other players once in a while. You don't have to suck on his penis every single hour of the day.
Yeah, it's getting bad. It's getting very, very bad. Like, they could... Dude, when Ohtani got thrown out at second by Real Muto, I saw that clip on MLB, I think at least 80 fucking times.
Yep.
Like, he got thrown out. I should see it once and then gone. Yeah,
It's ridiculous. It really is. And it's getting to the point where it's annoying because, sure, the Dodgers are the best team in the major leagues, right? They may not be record-wise right now, but they are. Sure, they have an all-time lineup with like 4 Hall of Famers at least. And sure, they have a unicorn in Shohei Ohtani, but, there's 31 other teams.
like, show them some fucking respect.
And we're 2 weeks into the season. You could show highlights from other teams, MLB. I swear to God, I promise, Shohei is not going to sue you for stealing money for gambling.
Yeah, and you want to know what's so funny? I've seen more highlights from Shohei Ohtani on MLB than I've had from the fucking San Francisco Giants.
It's the truth.
That is insane. This San Francisco Giants are, as what you said, 8-2. How the fuck are they not? I'm not seeing them once. Honest to God, I didn't know until I looked at the fucking standings.
If you're an MLB fan and you're going based on social media, you would have no idea the San Francisco Giants even exist. It's actually ridiculous. It's pathetic. It's asinine. It's actually juvenile. Right? I'm trying to think of any other words to describe what the MLB is doing. You can hop off.
Breathe.
Give Ohtani a little bit of a break. Let him go take a Viagra. Go put on some other teams. Right? There are a lot of other teams so far in this MLB season that deserve to be shown over the MLB website and MLB highlights. The Detroit Tigers are off to an awesome start. Like I mentioned, the Rangers, the Philadelphia Phillies 7-2, the Mets 8-3. I feel like I have not seen enough of Pete Alonso highlights. The guy's off to an unbelievable start.
Yeah.
Show some other highlights. It's okay. Nobody's gonna be mad at you.
I want to get away from this. I just want to stray to a different side and a little happiness towards this. Even though they're in our division, lots of good hitters are showing being good hitters. As Pete Alonso, he's playing very well. He just got paid. He's proving, hey, motherfuckers, I deserve this fucking contract. For example, Springer, he's batting very well. He's batting I think it's 465, which is very good. The Blue Jays are at the top of the AL East, who did not expect them to do good this year. Honest to God, was not expecting this. Then Abreu, Will Smith, Tatis, and then Soderstrom.
Yep. There's been a lot of good players. I know I mentioned it. Yes, Pete Alonso is off to an unreal start, right? He did have a prove-it contract where he has an opportunity to opt out after this year, and if he continues playing like this, he's going to have to because he's going to get fucking paid, especially with how the contract negotiations just went for Vlad Guerrero, who kind of just reset the first baseman market. So I do wish Pete the best. I hope he continues to play like this because, my God, he's going to get paid from somewhere, whether it's the Mets or elsewhere. And then, there's a few other players. Alex Bregman on his new team, the Red Sox, really taking advantage of that green monster, right? His swing is perfect for Fenway. He's really showing out, really doing well. I want to give him the props that he deserves. Kyle Tucker, the newbie on the Chicago Cubs. I think he homered in 5 straight games out of their first 12. So want to give him props. He obviously getting off to a good start with his new team. And then there's some pitchers in the league that I think not a lot of people may have expected per se. One of them, Skubal. Everybody knows how good Skubal is. Got off to a little bit of a rough start, but then just shut out the Yankees in 6 scoreless innings. Jack Leiter, 2-0, under a 2 ERA. Massive to see the kid rolling there. Love to see it. It's just good feel-good stories that we've been seeing, which is always nice to see. And I think there's even going to be more as the year goes on. There's so much more baseball to be played. I mean, think of it. We're 12 games into 162. So we don't want to get overwhelmed. We don't want to get, a little ahead of ourselves in choosing different narratives. Like, for example, the Rafael Devers thing, right? Started 0 for 19. Now he's like 10 for his last 15.
Yeah.
So shit changes like that in these types of seasons. So it's fun to watch.
Bring up Rafael Devers. It was so funny to fucking see. Every sports page was actually posting him getting his first hit of the season after countless strikeouts. It was actually it was flooding my feed of just him saying, Rafael Devers finally getting his hit for the first game of the year. Oh, I was dying of laughter. So funny. One thing I do want to say is I'm retracting to going back to the standings is, as you said, it is very early. But from what I'm seeing is I see I'm seeing a lot more competition than I was expecting to say. All the divisions I'm seeing competitiveness, and I hope it does stay like that throughout the whole year. I don't want to see a team just fall off the face of the earth, and divisions are just a giveaway. I want it to be a competitive way to the division is 4 games away or 3 games away. I want it to be close.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think there's been some really key things. We already spoke about the NL West, right? 3 teams with at least 8 wins right now is crazy. So that we hope is going to stay competitive. There's a couple of storylines. Atlanta being 1-8. Did not expect to see that to begin the year, especially with how good Philly and the Mets are playing. We kind of thought Atlanta would be up them. They still may. It's early, as we mentioned, but definitely a surprising start there. I do want to say already the Pittsburgh Pirates season is already over.
Yes.
We could try again next year, Buccos. Just a complete waste of life. I don't even want to discuss them even more than I have to. And then there's just a couple of teams that are surprising you, right? The Washington Nationals won 4 in a row to get to 5-6. It's not good. It's mediocre, but they're still a young team, as you mentioned, Derek, who are up and coming. So if they could gain some of that experience, they may be good next year or the year after that, right? Actually vying for a division spot. So that's always nice to see. And then I had to mention it, the AL East. Just based on how the first 11, 12 games have gone, boy, oh boy, are we going to be in for a hell of an ending.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Toronto, the Yankees, Boston, and Baltimore all have a legitimate shot at vying for that AL East division title. All 4 of those teams, I'm discounting the Rays because they're really not that good. All 4 of those teams that I mentioned, they have flaws. But yet again, all 4 of those teams are dangerous to play when they're on. So it's going to be curious to see how the next couple of weeks go, next couple of months, what they do at the trade deadline, how they react to injuries, if injuries do bite them in the ass. It's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, it's overall baseball is starting off to I'm very happy with the way baseball is starting. A lot of good games, players showing up. For example, a young shining star with the Athletics who has consistently recorded, I think he's on either 8 or 9 hit game hit streak, which very impressive. But
if you don't mind, Derek.
Yes.
I have one more thing to say just because I have to.
Okay.
I do want to give a shout out to one particular player so far, and this is not even me being biased.
Oh god, here we go.
The reigning AL MVP,
kicking
right back off where he left off. 6 home runs, top of the MLB. 18 runs batted in already, top of the MLB. Batting .350 to start the year, top 10 in the MLB. This guy is just unfucking believable, and usually he does not start off well. So he's putting the league on notice.
He said, motherfuckers, I'm here.
That I was great last year. I'm a 2-time MVP. I'm going to be great again this year.
It's unbelievable.
Yes, it is.
This is the one, because we have to talk about the Yankees a little bit. One thing to see, like, with, like, the Yankees, like, for example, Judge is hitting his home runs. Jazz is doing his thing. Grisham, when he comes in, he's doing his thing. A bunch of role players on the Yankees, not like the big star, or not just Aaron Judge, not with, like, obviously Stanton, not the big, they're doing what they have to do. So it's good to see. Obviously, I wish the pitching was there, but with Heel, who jerks himself off, obviously Garrett Cole, who's sitting on the couch eating a fucking Cracker Jacks, and Max Fried, who's sleeping. So that's
it's curious to see. That's definitely the one weak spot of the Yankees so far. Carrasco is just not a big league pitcher anymore, but they have no choice but to put him out there. Warren has not translated as hoped to the MLB level yet. Hopefully another couple of games under his belt maybe starts to ease in, but we'll see. Stroman, he's a 500 pitcher at best, right? He's going to give you one game where he's decent, gives you 5 innings. Another game, he's going to give you 4 and 5 runs. Fried, still getting acclimated. He did have a good last game, hoping that he builds up. Rodon, a whole bunch of issues. I mean, he's just not good, which you hope he turns around. I think the one thing that we're going to look for in the next coming weeks is Clark Schmidt ramping up and coming back, because this rotation desperately needs him.
Oh, it needs help.
They need anybody. They need any help they can get. And Schmidt, if he can return to form in any way, in any capacity, would be a huge lift to this Yankees team. And then it's just going to be on Cashman to go out there and get some help, because they need it. The rotation needs it.
Help. Like, help is needed. Like, put outside of Yankee Stadium, like in the fucking movie Rookie of the Year, have a little kid throw a fucking ball from outside the state, from center field, to throw it at the catcher. I don't give a fuck. Something. But hopefully the Yankees will take the division future on down the line. Please God. But hey, long time MLB to go. Any concluding factors? Conclusion. Couldn't.
Can you speak?
No. Any final thoughts you want to say about the MLB?
Nothing in particular. I think I do want to just say some of the stuff that we expected going into the year has come to fruition, right? So the Chicago White Sox, their season's already over. The Pittsburgh Pirates, their season's already over. The Colorado Rockies, their season's already over. If I was these teams, bring up as many rookies as physically possible. See what you got, because it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Yeah, that's pretty much the conclusion we have for the MLB. I have nothing else I want to say. I'm overall very pleased with the MLB this year, and I'm hoping that towards the coming weeks, it's going to just get even better.
Yeah. But, Derek, before we get to the conclusion, I want to give you a quick 3-minute segment.
Ooh.
I'm going to ask you a quick question. Simple, to the point. I want your opinion, concise. Give me some details. Give me your honest truth.
All right. Are you giving me multiple or just one question?
One.
Okay.
Just happened today. Denver Nuggets. 5 games to go. 4th in the conference. So they will be in the playoffs. They will be a top seed. They just fired their coach and their general manager. Thoughts?
Get rid of everyone in Denver. Flee the country. Everyone. Jokic, I want to see a trade request next season. I don't see why the fuck a coach would... Why would owner... Who's the owner? I actually need to know information. Who is the owner? Who is the owner of the Denver Nuggets?
Stanley Kroenke. He's the same owner as the Colorado Avalanche.
That dumb motherfucker. That stupid motherfucker. Why would you get rid of the coach? There has to be a... Jokic must have not wanted him. How I see it is this. There's no other reason to why you're 4th. You're still fighting. You're automatically in the playoffs. You're not making it out of the playoffs. You're staying within the sixth seed, I'd say. You could even get to the fucking 2nd seed, I think. But instead you choose, all right, let me get rid of my coach and general manager to go into the playoffs with a assistant coach. How fucking dumb do you have to be? Honest to God, if that owner is, this might be worse. I was gonna say it's worse than Luka, but it's not, because Luka's actually godly on the Lakers right now. So no, the only reason why I could see them doing this is if A, Nikola Jokic just didn't like him and wanted him out. B, something must have happened that no one, like, outside of the sport, and maybe the owner knew about it and wanted to get rid of him before news came out. Or C, the team in general just didn't click with him. And they didn't, even though they won a fucking championship 2 years ago. That makes no... What?
No, look, I'll give my quick 2 cents about it, too. You can fire your GM, right? With 5 games to go, it doesn't matter. You're not making any roster moves. And to be fair, he wasn't that great because he really didn't make any trades at the deadline to improve your team, especially when you knew you were going to be a top 5 team in the West, right? So you needed to make a little bit of a big splash in order to actually, go for it. And he didn't. I can understand firing the GM. I get it. The coach, being one of the most tenured in the NBA, winning a championship with them, there could be problems within the organization. I don't know, right? There could be issues with the players, and maybe they're not too fond of him this season because of schemes, because of player meetings, whatever it may be. Going into the playoffs with 5 games to go with an assistant coach, especially when the assistant coach, he's not going to make anything new. He's going to do the exact same schemes that the just previous coach is going to do. So it makes no sense to fire the coach at this tenure in the season.
When did this happen?
Today.
Like, did it, just happen, or happen, earlier today?
This afternoon.
What the
Crazy.
fuck?
So,
I can't believe I didn't see this.
I did just want to mention that because I felt like it had to be mentioned. But, yeah, I appreciate you giving your opinion, Derek.
That is by far the worst thing I've ever heard for Denver sports. That's worse than them getting Russell Wilson.
Ooh, too soon.
It's not too soon. Because you just won a championship 2 years ago. You have arguably the greatest player in the league right now. Mm-hmm. And instead you say, all right, fuck you, Jokic. Fuck you, Michael Porter. Fuck you, Aaron Gordon. Fuck everyone. I'm just going to get rid of the GM and the coach 5 games before the playoff starts.
Yep.
Shit makes me sick, literally.
Well, I'm curious to see how they do in the first round.
They're going to get first round. They're going to get swept. They're going to get fucking swept. I hope they verse, like, if they're what seed are they? They're the 4th seed?
I'm looking it up right now. They are the 4th seed currently, and if they do finish the 4th seed, they would play the 5th seed, which as of this moment is the Memphis Grizzlies.
I hope John Morant dunks on Jokic so bad that he just, like, falls right into the fucking... Oh, my God.
We will see.
Well, I was going to even go into the NBA, but that just put me off of the NBA. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. What
is it time?
Yeah, it is. Dean?
Bowler of the week!
That was it. Editor, keep that in. That was the whole time. It didn't get cut out. That was very impressive. Good shit, Dean. Good shit. After Dean's great intro, surprisingly, I'm going to do a very shocking thing that we haven't done. I'm going to volunteer going first, Dean. Shocking.
By all means.
So, I'm going to do one that I've actually never touched upon.
Oh boy, here we go.
No, it's actually very cool. Recently, as in the past, I think it's this past week or earlier this week, the world has discovered something new. Or brought back something to life. Over a 13,000-year-old dire wolf got brought back to life.
Dude.
And I wanted to make that my baller of the week as one, because seeing, like, all the images and, like, all, like, learning about all the information about dire wolves is, like, obviously 13,000 years. That is obviously a long fucking time ago. And just to see being able to bring something that old back to an animal that old back to life, it's exciting to see. Another reason why I have a baller of my week is there's not that many animals in the world who are very, like, they have, like, a distinct, like, howl. Like, wolves have a distinct howl, and seeing, like, pretty much the birth of it This is like the first, like considered like the first ever, technically, wolf. Just I heard a video clip of obviously the howl they give off. I just thought it was so interesting to see like the growth of like obviously like how like the bones and like how all like the organs work for like going down the line. I just thought it was very cool to see, and that's why I had the dire wolves as my ball of the week.
Very nice ball of the week. I will say that shit's scary because now that they could bring back a direwolf, they could probably bring back some other shit.
A dinosaur.
And,
I know.
and let's just hope they don't. But I'm going to go back into the sports realm for my ball of the week. I am going to go on somebody who we've spoken about in this podcast specifically and previously. I'm going to go Wayne Gretzky. Obviously, if you listen to any word of what we've said, he is the #1 points leader in NHL history. Will probably never be touched. However, he did just get his goal record broken by Alex Ovechkin. I wanted to give Wayne Gretzky some props here, not for being the greatest of all time, but back in the 90s when he broke Gordie Howe's goal record of 801, Gordie Howe was there, front and center, in the stadium, watching him do it, and Gordie Howe was the first person to shake Wayne Gretzky's hand. On multiple interviews, podcasts, pretty much everything over the last year, Wayne Gretzky also said he would carry on that tradition of respect and be in the stadium, be in the stands, and he would be the first one to shake Alex Ovechkin's hand if and when he broke his goal record. Sure enough, Alex Ovechkin broke the record. Gretzky was in the stands cheering, came onto the ice, shook his hand. It's just a thing of respect between great player to great player. It's a respect between the generations of the NHL. I think the NHL is one of those sports that does value tradition a lot more than maybe some other sports, like NBA or NFL, for example. So it's just important to see the passing of the torch, and for this next generation, I guess even beyond Ovechkin, right? Hopefully that the next generation after him shows the same amount of respect in the game as they did. So I wanted to give Wayne Gretzky, not only for being the greatest player in the world, regardless of owning the goal record or not, but I wanted to give him his flowers for passing the torch and showing the right way of giving up a tradition.
Yeah, that's very important because most people in the world will be like arrogant about the record being broken.
Yep.
And the respect that I hope it's like a tradition down the line to where if such and such player is still alive and someone breaks the record, they're there for it.
Yeah.
But only time will tell. Obviously, Wayne Gretzky is the great one. And he will never go. And that name will never change.
Nope.
Well, that does conclude this episode of the podcast. We both had very good ball of the weeks. I'm biased on mine. And yours was very good because Wayne Gretzky's the great one. And it was very short, but next week it's going to ramp up because a bunch of more shit's going on closer to the NFL draft. In fact, 2 weeks away from the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
Coming next week, hockey playoffs, huge. NBA playoffs, huge. MLB, still going to be ramping up. It's going to be an all-sports podcast. This is going to be the perfect time for all these new supporters who want to see, what's going on in the NFL, what's going on in the MLB, what's going on in the NHL, what's going on here. Even if you want to hear about Dean talk about tennis, he'll talk about it. I don't give a fuck. Let him do it. But, does conclude it. Dean, any closing statements you want to say? Just your fireworks. Okay, that's all you need for today.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I always do this as well.
Like, subscribe, follow on TikTok, follow on Instagram. Like the TikTok I just posted today, today, about the torpedo bats. Look, see, communicate in the TikTok. See, like, we could talk about it. A bunch of people were saying that we actually had good takes on this, Dean. It's very shocking. Very, very shocking, us having good takes on something. But communicate with us so we can communicate with you guys. That's how we produce the best content.
And if you don't want to look at Derek's face, go listen on Spotify as well.
Yes, sir. Great way to promote it, Dean. That's a fucking great way. I fucking love it. Anyways, peace.